Alright, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited for today's video because I'm talking about one of my most favorite topics about hiking, and that's the lists. More specifically, the New Hampshire hiking lists, the ones that you can complete just in this state because I don't do much hiking in the rest of the Northeast. I've never hiked in Vermont or Maine or New York or anything. So these lists you can complete in New Hampshire. I gathered about 15 of them. I've been working on all these for the past 3 years, and I think I've completed 4 of them. So I got a long way to go, but they keep me so motivated. I don't know if I'd hike as much as I do if it weren't for these lists and something I could follow and check off and have a goal. I am such a goal-oriented person, and I love coming home, checking it off, and seeing my progress and feeling that sort of accomplishment. So I'm going to go through all 15 lists that I found and share them with you. Hopefully you hear about a list in this video that you want to go off and complete because they are a lot of fun, and I really highly recommend it if you're in this area. I'm going to start this video by talking about the most popular, the most well-known list, and that is the New Hampshire 48 4,000 footers. It's the first list that I learned about, the list that really got me into hiking, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's 48 mountains in New Hampshire that are over 4,000 feet in elevation, but also a minimum of 200 feet prominence, which means, for example, Mount Haystack is not on the list, although the elevation is higher than 4,000 feet. It is too close to Mount Lincoln. There isn't enough elevation in between the two. So that is the requirement for this list. There's 48. This 48 is actually going to be the foundation for the next couple lists I'm going to talk about. The second list, for example, is the Winter 48. And again, self-explanatory, hike all 48 of these mountains, but during the winter. In this list, don't let it intimidate you. You don't have to hike them all in one winter season. You can hike one mountain per winter for the next 48 years and complete the list that way. From my experience, hiking these mountains in the winter is whole game changer. Some roads to the trailheads might be closed. The ladders that you would usually use in the summer are covered in ice, and now it's really steep. The weather conditions could be really tough. So the winter 48 is definitely a lot harder than the regular 48. And if you're working on this list, you have to keep in mind when exactly winter is. I printed out the explanation. It says, to qualify for this list, the entire trip must begin after the hour and minute of the beginning of winter, the winter solstice, and end before the hour and minute of the end of winter, the vernal equinox. So keep that in mind. I don't want anyone trying to do the winter 48 and not have the hike actually be in winter. Next list I'm going to talk about, I think is the toughest. It intimidates me, but I'm still working towards it, and that's the grid. And for the grid, you have to take the 48 4,000 footers and hike them in every month. It doesn't have to be 1 year, but you have to hike every 48 4,000 footer in January. You have to hike every 48 4,000 footer in February, and so on. And if you complete this list, you would have hiked 576 4,000 footers. This next list, I feel like would also take forever to complete, and it's called Every Calendar Day, or it could be called 4K Every Day. And basically, you have to hike a 4,000 footer every calendar day of the year, including February 29th. So you could complete this in 366 hikes, 366 days, and it's tough because you have to hike a mountain on Christmas, you have to hike one on New Year's Day and Valentine's Day, and days that you probably have plans, but you have to hike it for this list. So what I did is I have a whole year calendar printed out, and every time I hike a 4,000 footer, I go into this calendar and check it off. Yep, I hiked one on September 12th. So that's a fun one that will take a long time to complete, but I'm sure it'll be very rewarding once you do. All right, now we're getting away from the 48 4,000 footers, and now I'm going to talk about the 52 with the view. So this is all mountains under 4,000 feet that all have incredible views. And this is a great list to work on if you're new to hiking and maybe the 48 intimidate you. So once you do the 52, then you can go on to the 48, and it's just a whole process. And great for kids. Bring your kids up the 52 with a view if they want to do the 4,000 footers one day. All right, this next list is going to be an advanced one. It is called Redlining, which is hiking every single trail listed in the AMC White Mountain Guide. And if you hike all these trails, it's going to total to over 11,000 miles of hiking. All right, now I'm editing this. I can't believe I said 11,000. I meant 1,100 miles. This is not an easy list because some of those trails in the guidebook are going to be remote. They're going to be hard to find. They're going to be not well maintained because not a lot of people will hike them because they're not on the 48 or the 52 with a VO. So I recommend getting really comfortable with hiking before you attempt this. I do keep note of the hikes I do that will eventually count towards redlining, but that is not in my vision. I'm not prepared enough to do that yet. And this next list is going to be a kind of sub-list of the redline. It's called the Waterville 125. And so it consists of 19 peaks, 57 natural features, and 48 trails covering 125 miles of White Mountain terrain. It's like the White Mountain redlining, but only in the Waterville Valley area. And that's more appealing to me because I am familiar with that area, and it's closer, it's less remote, and so I'd probably work on that before I even think about just the general redlining list. This next one is fun. It has nothing to do with the 48 or the redlining or anything. It's called the Terrifying 25. And this list includes slides, rock scrambles, and boulder caves that can be found along maintained trails within the White Mountains of New Hampshire. There are 20 required hikes to do, and then there's 5 elective hikes that you can choose from a list of 14. So this is also pretty advanced. The toughest trails in New Hampshire are required to do this list. Like Huntington Ravine scares the crap out of me. I don't want to do it, so I don't know if I'd ever complete this list. There are really hard trails in the White Mountains, and you need to hike those to complete this list. But then some are more fun on this list, like the ladders on Mount Morgan and the caves on Mount Percival. They are hard. You do need to put in a lot of work to do the trail, but it's more lighthearted and nothing's gonna happen. But yeah, Huntington Ravine scares me. I know Flume Slide is a really hard trail, but I've done that. Wasn't easy. The Caps Ridge Trail is on this list, and I've done that. And it is scary in parts, but overall not too bad. But yeah, this, as the list says, it's terrifying. All right, these next couple are going to be more closer to the area that I'm in, which is the Lakes region. The first one is the Belknap Range, which is an easy list. There are 12 peaks in the Belknap Range, which is in Guilford, Alton, and Gilmington, New Hampshire. And you can honestly do this in one day. I have. It took me about 11 hours, and the peaks are close together. You can get quite a few of the peaks in a single hike, if not all of them. And it's fun. Some of them have views, some of them don't. But these mountains only range from like 1,600 feet in elevation to 2,300 feet in elevation. So they're not giant mountains. And then from that list, you can also work on the Belknap Range redlining list, which again is hiking every single trail listed maintained in the Belknap Range, and that's about 65 miles of trail. The next list is going to be the Lakes Region Conservation Trust Castle in the Clouds list, which is, the Castle in the Clouds is located in Moultonborough, New Hampshire, and to complete this list, there's 5 peaks in that trail system that you have to summit, but also the 28 miles of trails in that system. Another list that the Lakes Region Conservation Trust put out is called the Explorer Patch, and these are beginner hikes located all throughout the Lakes region of New Hampshire. A lot of them don't even have elevation gain, they're just more of a nature walk. There are 20 of these hikes, and they can vary from 1 mile to 5 miles. A lot of them have good views, maybe not of mountains, but of lakes and swamps, and they're pretty cool to check out. They're all very different from each other. Again, all throughout the Lakes region: Alton, Wolfboro, Alexandria, Guilford, Meredith, Center Harbor. There's a lot of them, and I don't think a lot of people would know about these hikes if it wasn't for this Explorer Patch list, because I live in this area and most of these hikes I've never heard of. The last main list I'm going to talk about, and then at the end I have 2 fun ones. But the last main one is going to be the New Hampshire Fire Tower Quest. There are 16 fire towers remaining in New Hampshire, And to finish this list and get the patch, you only have to hike 5 of them. Some mountains are hard, some are just like a 5-minute walk. So it is a good list. I know a lot of kids that are working on this list, and it's really fun. For the fire towers, you can climb up the steps and always see a really good view and see really far on a clear day. So that's a good one. And on to the fun hikes. I didn't know about these until someone emailed me and let me know about them. One is called Scoops and Loops, and the other is called Brews and Views. And so you go onto their websites or their Facebook page, I forget, but everything will be linked in the description if you want more information on them. But for Scoops and Loops, basically you hike a mountain and then you get ice cream. And there's a list of all the different ice cream places throughout New Hampshire that you can go. And once you see all the ice cream places and hike mountains close to them, and then you can get the patch. Same with Brews and Views. You hike a mountain and then you go to a nearby brewery. And I think this one is more relaxed. You can make changes to it. It doesn't matter which hike you do as long as you get an ice cream or a beer afterwards. And that concludes this video for New Hampshire hiking lists. If you go and fill out the forms that these lists have, just check off what hike you did and the date that you did it. Most of them you can send in that form and get a patch. So I have a couple patches right here. You can, for some of them, you can even get a patch if you have a dog that comes with you. Some you can't, like the Terrifying 25. They don't want to give out patches to dogs because it's unsafe. But yeah, it's really fun to collect the patches. I like displaying them just like that. And just keep in mind, for the patches, you might have to pay $5, $10, maybe even $20 to get the patch, but I think it's worth it. It's very motivational. So that concludes this video. All the information I'll try to put in the description. So if you want to learn more about these hikes, check out those links and get out there and hike them. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video.